Hi everybody, and welcome to another 180 Markets Weekly Wrap. Well friends, it was a fairly slow week on the markets, but stick around and watch because you are going to learn specifically what to show and look for in capital raises.
That's right. I'm going to show you how you can also lose your money in a bear market. It is fascinating. Now the market is tough. There are quite a few raises, but picking them is very hard. So we are going to look for what I look for, and at the moment it's very different to what I'm looking for in the good market. Let's take a look at the screens. The week started with Hancock and Gore, HNG. They raised $15 million at 30 cents a share. A very small discount and a $95 million market cap. We had Golden Deeps as well, raising money at 5.9, a bit of a serial raiser. We'll take a look at that soon as we go on the charts. Challenger Group. Greg, tell us about that one.
Well, Challenger was the biggest deal of the week. It was a block trade, not a placement. And Apollo Group, which is US based, they sold a block of their shares, but to be clear, they still own a big piece. And what's really interesting, Sean, is that they are huge in the private credit space. They're also still working with Challenger. So they took a little bit of chips off the table, but they're also still heavily exposed to that trend.
And unfortunately, the shares have gone below the price. It was done at 651. 671 was the top end of the range, but yeah, they haven't traded too well. Echo IQ, one that we took, pretty interesting company there, Greg.
Yes, for sure. Echo IQ, very interesting, a software company that's in medical technology with really improving results for monitoring heart attacks. And that was very interesting. And they have some upcoming FDA news to come in about 3 weeks, Sean.
Now let's look at what we got live. Gallon, GLN, serial raiser. How many times can one company keep raising? And how many times can they keep saying it's the last raise? Greg, I'm not putting you under the bus or anything, but one of their raises about 4 times ago, you said, Sean, we've got to buy this at 40 cents. What has gone wrong since then?
Well, Sean, things change, and when things change, we have to act. But in the case with Gallon, there are two factors. Number one, lithium pricing going from circa $75,000 down to $10,000 hasn't helped the cause. But they really need more and more capital, and they just keep raising, and management has lost a lot of credibility.
And money too.
That is right.
They keep putting money into every raise, and even the chairman and everyone there has been putting in money. So obviously things have really surprised them as well.
Yes.
STM Sunstone, this one used to be a lot higher. Raising $2 million at 0.5, 27 market cap. The market cap used to be a lot higher. Win Metals, not one that I follow closely. Greg, know anything about them?
Same. Nothing.
LDX, they did another raise. I remember they raised money at 10 cents about 6 to 9 months ago, $10 million. And just shows you some of these companies, how dangerous small caps are.
That's right.
NXM, another one, raised money, no real discount there, and CML as well. All right, we're going to take a look at the screens, and we'll go through another raise here. Now, unfortunately, this one is one that I've been holding for quite a while. They raised about just under $400,000 today. Now, I'm not going to say too much about it because I don't have much good to say, but we took in a placement at 1 cent about 6 months ago. I bought a market. It is cheap. It is really cheap.
And is that the reason that you did buy it, Sean?
So this is what we call a shell company. And there's quite a few things that we look at in a shell company. And at the time, it ticked all my boxes, but one of those boxes I didn't look into far enough, and I think that's why I haven't done too well. As we mentioned before, Golden Deeps, they raised money this week. Now let's take a look at that chart. They soared this week. They went nuts this week. They were trading at about 2.7, made a pretty decent announcement over here, 80 meters copper. That's a lot of copper. They had zinc as well, and the grades were pretty good. Now the stock went nuts. It actually hit, I think, 9.5 cents during the day. Now, Golden Deeps did what Golden Deeps do.
Yes.
They raised capital straight away at 5.9 cents a share.
And Sean, can I just stop you for a second? When you see that happening, when you see the big spikes, taking advantage of news flow to raise capital, what are your first thoughts?
My first thoughts are, well done to the company for taking advantage of it and raising money at a higher price. But if I'm a trader and this keeps happening, I'm not going to touch this stock because it's so risky. Now, traders would have really lost quite a bit if they bought at the wrong time. Obviously, if they bought at the right time, it's great. It happens a lot. And look, companies do it. They take advantage, and why not? If traders / investors are stupid enough to push the prices up, that's what's going to happen. You got to be smart in this game. Yeah, so very interesting there. The raise did come with options. Two good mates of mine, Joshy Gordon and Niv. Well done to Pack and Peak for doing the raise.
Okay, Sean, you didn't take Golden Deeps, but EIQ, you did participate. What was the difference?
Okay, so I did participate. Now, a few reasons. As I said, Golden Deeps, it's just a trader's special. It's going up and down, and a lot of options, and it does the same thing every time. I took EIQ. We actually had a great management call with the company the day before the raise, and I really like some biotechs at the moment, the way they get market attention when they've got upcoming news flow and they're fully funded. Now, Echo went and raised $7.1 million, which I think gives them at least 12 months of runway. They won't need more money, and they've got a lot of exciting things coming up, and excitement is what the market wants. The market wants upcoming news flow. The market wants huge potential. And look, I'm not saying that this one is a certainty at all. I didn't go in too big. I took a bit. They've got a lot of risk coming up as well with the FDA pending approval. Will that happen, Greg?
We would handicap it as highly probable, especially because the company just this week put out more data showing circa 90% improvement in diagnostics, which is very impressive.
So very interesting there. But if they don't get it, the share price goes down. So risk reward, you just got to keep playing that, and yeah, hopefully they get it. Now, there were a very small amount of movers this week. We won't really go into the up and downs, but the market is tough. It's boring. There's not a lot of liquidity. So it is every time we think it's getting better, it does go back.
But what is interesting, Sean, in closing, is that company specific, there are certain investments that you mentioned, again, EIQ, for all the people watching. This is really important how you looked at it. You looked at the sector, you looked at the balance sheet, are they fully funded? And you looked at the catalyst, is there news coming out?
Correct. And I probably put in a fifth of the size that I normally would for two reasons. One is it does have quite a bit of upcoming risk. And two is the way the market is at the moment, you just can't trust it.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's a wrap. What do you got planned for the weekend, Greg?
Relaxing and getting ready for Monday.
What am I looking forward to? Tomorrow night. Wouldn't it be great if the Blues cause a big upset? If not, have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye-bye.
That never lets you down. We're the only team.